time to make a change, and I can take the pain. Yeah. I'm gonna go down swinging. I get lost in the feeling. I'm gonna find my meaning. I can make a change. I wanna play the game. You wanna sink or swim? I'm gonna go down swinging. Look deep within. I get lost in the feeling. Just need a win. I'm going off. I know it's time to make a change, and I can take the pain. You wanna sink or swim? I'm gonna go down swinging. Look deep within. I get lost in the feeling. Just need a win. I'm gonna find my meaning. I can make a change. I wanna play the game. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR. I'm your host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, a.k.a. BMR. How is everybody tonight? Thank you for everybody for coming on in. If this is, of course, your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. Thank you, Kelly Sendifer, right out of the gate, $20 super chat. Super chat's open. It's a great way to help support what we all do around here. Thank you so much. And you too can become a BMR pirate. Arr! Join today. You know what you get? Well, you get a picture of me with my bandana next to you in the chat room. That took me off guard in the beginning of my opening stanza. Thank you so much, Kelly. Joining me in Studio B from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. If not subscribed already, please do. Krista will be joining me. Got a great guest, Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central. And, of course, a lot of you know him from World Bigfoot Radio. You can find him on YouTube and Rumble. Check out Duke, good friend of mine. Helped me through my Bigfoot encounter way back in the day. So I always am appreciative of Duke, longtime subscriber and friend of mine. Thank you, Duke, for coming on in. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, wherever podcasts are found. And I got to tell you guys something. The alert bell, turn on the alert bell. I used to give out the schedules to the shows, but, you know, I find after 2 years, if you don't know it by now, well, guess what? You'll never know. Turn on the alert bell. Subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob, the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, Text from Texas Front Porch, and, of course, Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central, World Bigfoot Radio. Thank you so much for that. Like, share, subscribe, and, of course, turn on the alert bell, leave a comment afterwards. That also, Duke was telling me the other day that one comment's worth like 10 likes. I really didn't know that. I kind of did, but then, you know, Duke was telling me a couple of weeks ago, yeah, comments are important, so please do that. Thank you ever so much for everybody for coming in. And also, everybody, I've got to thank everybody for buying my first book that I put out last year, which is doing still pretty good. My second book debuted about 3 weeks ago. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 2. Both are found on Amazon. Type in Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser. Check it out. I appreciate the love and the support for that. For those that have bought the books, thank you. And leave a comment, because much like YouTube, it's all analytics these days. Leave a review. Give me the 5 stars. Thank you so much for that. Enough of that. We're going to get on with the show here, but I'm going to, of course, first of all, bring up my lovely co-host, Krista.
Hey.
Hi, Krista. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I had a guest coming on today, and I talk to Duke probably once a week, and we're just BSing. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned, yeah, he asked me about the show tonight. And I'm like, well, I kind of gave him the thumbs down after he told me a couple wild things later this evening. I'm like, so I'm just kind of, BSing with Duke. He goes, well, hell, I'll come on. I said,
There you
oh,
go.
great. So thanks to Duke, he's also he's a savior, he's a friend, and he sent me about 15 pictures
Awesome.
from because Duke has been doing. Duke always does a lot of research, and so he's got some things that I'm gonna share, some pictures, some photos to
Very
share, and
cool.
he's just gonna break that down for us today because he's one of the hardest working guys out there, and I always appreciate having Duke on the show. With that being said, I'm gonna bring up Duke.
Hello, hello.
Big Sky howdy from Montana to everybody out there in listener land, especially all of my subscribers and friends that are tuning in right now. And I see your little names in the chat room right now. Thanks to Moon at Noon. Thanks to Danny for being here. Danny's always here. Thanks to Gary. Christy is in the house. And Figgy, we're going to be showing one of your pictures. Figgy found a picture in one of my previous videos from 11 years ago.
Oh gosh. Well, it's funny, Duke, because we chat, as I mentioned, often, and you're saying, yeah, a lot of people, they peruse through my videos. Hey, Duke, did you spot this? Did you spot this? And Duke, you do have a keen eye, and you look back, you're like, holy cow, thanks for that. So that's always cool when people are looking out. And really, what I like about watching your videos is, a lot of pictures, a lot of in-depth coverage. And the people that watch you, they really have a keen eye and they help you out with things that maybe you missed because
Mhm.
they can't catch everything.
Yeah, I've got some really great help in addition to just some of the viewers that are really into it, and they'll actually put it up on their big screen and they'll go through it slow and they'll look at it with a magnifying glass. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Figgy. I've got some other ones, that I've been friends with for years and years and years that are top flight Bigfoot researchers. And they like to take a look at my raw field research video because a lot of times there's something in there. And then they absolutely delight in finding things that I missed and then sending me a screen capture and going, hey, timestamp right here, right hand side, you missed this one, goofball. Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Hey, listen, I'll never turn down help if anybody can give another eye because we need a lot of eyes, lots of sets of eyes when perusing, photos, video, what have you. And
Absolutely. I mean, look at me and Kelly were both talking about Kelly Shaw.
yeah,
Speaking of which, I sent him a track that I filmed yesterday. He's already done a video about it and has it up on his channel. So after the show, go over to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization and you can check out the video of the 19-inch track that I just filmed yesterday.
Wow.
But it's really great to have the input from these people. And I want to give a specific shout out to like Blaine Tyler, who's been finding stuff, helped me for years. Christy Sci-Fi, same thing. Bama Bigfoot, Joyce Gray, some of those folks, they watch all my field research videos and they send me scary pictures. Like Joyce sent me one 12-footer standing about 20 feet behind me. As I turn around to the pad, I catch him. He's got a head the size of a beach ball. And I'm like, oh, thanks for pointing that out. Makes me feel really good now. I'm up there by myself,
Yeah, and that's got to be tough too, being by yourself. Now, I'm not going to have you go into your bio. People know you. You've been doing this for decades. I'm not going to even get into it. Decades. I'm going to leave it at that, dude. We know what the number is, but
same as William Lunsford. Refer back to his show that you need to watch.
Well, William Lunsford's been on a handful of times, much like yourself. Thank you, Denise, for the awesome super chat. Love you. Thank you so much, Denise, for that. Yeah, William Lunsford, and we're talking about our buddy from Alaska who's got a new channel out as well. So
Daniel Becker.
Daniel Becker, correct. So you have a good support.
Cryptid Wilderness Research Team, and he's continent wide. He's got members from as far south as Falk, Arkansas, and of course as far north as Alaska.
Wow.
With some other members over here in the Pac West, me included.
Yeah, and so the most of your research you do obviously in Montana. And before we get on, we got a bunch of great pictures, so I want to try to get through as many as we can. What is it, do you think, Duke? I mean, we all hear, thank you, Gary Spike Sr., gifting 5 pirate memberships. Nice way to start this show. So Duke, again, referring back to Montana, your research area, without giving out details, you actually go. Why do you think it? And we've talked, you and I ad nauseum. What is it about Montana that is so much more different than, let's say, the other lower 48?
More mountains.
You know,
It's like Alaska without mosquitoes.
Gotcha.
and you know, I like that answer. It's a nice, straightforward, pat answer. Mountains, you gotta love not having mosquitoes when you're camping or out.
Oh God, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So Montana doesn't have mosquitoes at all?
You got to have standing water to have mosquitoes. We have mountains. That
Gotcha.
means everything is not horizontal. It's vertical. So there's no place for standing
There you
water
go.
to sit.
There you go. Awesome.
So that's pretty great. So yeah, we were talking earlier today, and you were telling me about you've been out just last weekend, and now Duke, you're always out in the spring, summer, and going into the fall. So before I get on, because we do have a bunch of pictures to show, what new or different were you able to come across this past spring, summer while you're out in the field?
Well, that was the issue this year. I basically wasn't out in the field. I got out once this spring, and then vehicles were dead. And it took me the entire summer with all of my teeny income to get them fixed so I could actually get out and do anything. So it's only been the last 2 weeks that I've been actually able to get out and film anything. So I'm taking advantage of what little warm season is left here to be out in the woods as much as possible filming rather than doing anything else.
Awesome.
And it's worth doing. You know, we were just up at the Wairika Mountain yesterday, wandering around in one of our usual areas, and found about another dozen tracks in the couple hours that we were up there.
Wow. So when you go out, do you go out for like days on end, or just a few hours here and there? Or
I like to. Going day tripping is kind of problematic here in Montana because everything is a gigantic distance away.
Right.
So,
right.
Do you want to drive 150 miles to go there for an afternoon and then drive back again?
No.
So
when you go, do you like tent camp? Do you have a camper? Like, what's it?
Both.
Up
until recently, I've been tent camping, but now I actually have a camper, which is one of the things that took me all summer to fix that. So I can actually get the camper up there and camp in that, which is nice because then I don't have to set up all the tent and take all the tent down again.
Sure.
You just drive the tent up and park it there. There's your tent.
Yeah. There you go.
I would have to agree that's the way to go. And then you can be inside, get a decent rest, and you don't have to worry about Bigfoot snoring or breathing on you, in the tent with your head right up against the material of your tent either.
No.
Which I know that's happened to you.
Yeah, or shaking your tent. That's happened to me twice.
Well, of course, shaking,
throwing things at your tent, or digging in the cooler next to your tent, trying to get food out and not wake you up. Yeah, it's all happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
But of course, in the camper trailer setup, you can always have them, kind of rocking it for you too.
Rocking the trailer.
Rock the trailer.
Like Christy had that happen to her when she was camping out with Keith, and she kind of didn't really wake up because she thought they were like trying to be like a mama and rock the cradle and lullaby her. And the other people in the camper didn't take it that way. They woke up.
There's something about a camper. I think I'd feel a little safer than a tent. I've camped both ways, even though, a camper, they can just come right in. The walls are made of next to nothing,
Yeah. It's illusory safety. It's just like when, people are in their tent and they hear some horrible noise and, oh my God, and they throw the blankets over their head. Well, what's that going to do?
Right. Nothing.
Oh, it's an additional layer after the monster battles its way through that paper thin fabric of the tent. Then it has to tear through my fluffy sleeping bag to get to me too.
Right.
I'm doubly protected.
Right. Do you guys, when you guys do go out, when it's time for bed, does everybody go to bed, or does somebody kind of stay up and listen and watch?
Well, it depends. I mean, if I'm out there by myself, it's, whenever I go to bed. Some of the people that I go out with are definitely daytime people. So right shortly after it gets dark, they're passing out. And I'm a night owl, so sometimes I'll sit up most of the night, even if by myself, while they're sleeping and snoring.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. As
Okay.
a matter of fact, the last time I had somebody sit up all night with me is when Papa Craig was up here. And Papa Craig, he was doing just fine until the sun came up in the morning, and we tried to hike a little ways upriver, and then one of them zapped him. And that kind of wrecked him for the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, it always sucks getting zapped. I know from experience, it screws up your entire weekend.
You know how it is, right?
Yeah.
Been there, done it, and yeah.
Well, if that was in fact what happened, it demonstrates to me that they can actually target it very carefully, because I was no more than 5-6 feet in front of them, and I didn't feel anything. They nailed him, and he just went rubber leg down to his knees, going, I can't walk. What's going on? Help me get back to camp. Thought he was having a heart attack. But then he realized after he sat down that he had just had a heart attack a couple of years before, and that isn't what a heart attack felt like. So then he was really wondering what was going on.
Oh,
and,
wow.
About 15, 20 minutes later, he just went, well, no, the sun's starting to come up now. I'm just going to go and lay down in my tent for a few hours and see if I feel better. I'm like, okay. So now everybody's asleep. He finally goes to his tent, and I'm sitting out there by myself in the chair next to the campfire, and I fall asleep. And then I wake up and yank my head back abruptly, and there's a deer right on the other side of the fire pit from me that freaks out, panics, and bolts out of camp as fast as it can go, which startles me. I mean, you wake up and there's a deer panicking and running away from you. So apparently I was sleeping pretty quietly and not moving because the deer didn't realize I was alive or whatever. But well, this was going on, and I was peacefully falling asleep next to the campfire, and the deer was wandering into camp grazing. Papa Craig told me the next day, as soon as he went and laid down in that tent, he got hit by a wall of dread.
Oh, wow.
So again, I'm so peaceful, I'm right out in the open with my back to the woods. Anything can attack me and kill me if it wants to. He's laying in his tent, getting hit by the wall of dread.
Wow.
And he said it was one of the scariest things I've ever felt, and I was a combat veteran, and I don't know where it was coming from, and I was just terrified, and then I fell asleep. And that's the third time I've heard that. I'm like, how the hell do you fall asleep when you're that scared?
Adrenaline.
Other people tell me that same thing. Yeah. They're just so terrified that thought their heart was going to stop, and all of a sudden they fall asleep.
I think it's an adrenaline dump. Get real scared, and your adrenaline's going, and then it just,
Right. I could see that if it was wearing off, but they were in the middle of being terrified.
Wow.
Go to sleep.
Huh. Wow. I can't explain that either.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they didn't like Papa Craig very much, and they zapped him. And I still feel bad about that to this day. I didn't have anything.
Yeah, I've heard that several times, and I definitely I can feel where you are feeling bad for Papa, because Papa's cool. Papa's seen some stuff in his life as well. Everybody, he's been through everything.
Papa Craig saw a gigantic track that was, like he said, I didn't have a tape measure with, but it was closer to 3 feet long than it was to 2 feet long.
Oh boy!
And when I first saw it, it had water in it, and I thought it was a mud puddle with some elk tracks in front. And then I looked closer and went, those aren't elk tracks, those are toes. That ain't even possible. And then he walked about 14 feet in front. There was another one.
Wow.
And that was over in, can't think of the mountain range on the north side by Canada. Washington.
Yeah, was that British Columbia area or no? Was that in the States or was that in British?
Yeah,
Columbia?
that's in the States. I was in Washington.
Okay.
Trying to think of the Wallowa Mountains. That's it.
Okay. Oh. Well, once again, man, thanks for coming on. I know, and you're going to tell the stories behind some of these photos that you got, and I know you took the time to send me a whole crap load of them, and I'm gonna bring up a couple at a time. You can discuss them and tell us what's up with them. And thanks to everybody for once again coming in chat. If I'm not saying hi to everybody, it's because the chat is rolling, but I do appreciate each and every single one of you for coming on in. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you. And Duke, with that being said, I'm going to send up a couple of the earlier ones you sent me just to kind of warm everybody up here. And I'm going to go with, it says Duke 1. And this is, okay, I know what this is. Okay.
This is a shot that's actually included in the Inevitably Finding Bigfoot documentary, and I'm filming a huge X structure. And there's another X structure parallel to it on the hill a couple hundred yards away. So I decided that I'm going to turn around and with one camera shot, pan from the X structure that I'm on to the one across the hillside and zoom in on it. And as I'm bringing the camera around behind me, guess who's right behind me watching me? There's two of them standing
Yeah,
there.
well,
No, those aren't
two of 'em.
stumps.
Yeah, no, I see two of them here, and you also have a highlighted picture for people because I picked it out immediately, and I guess my eyes starting to get trained a little bit. But of course, Duke, like you like to do, is for people that don't have the trained eye, you like to kind of highlight them, and I see them readily. But I will pull up the second picture, the same picture with maybe to demonstrate it in the background for everybody watching.
Mhm.
And yeah, I lightened up and brought up the colors on this one a little bit too, so you can see that, like, yeah, those are Bigfoot shaped objects right there. And I've been across that hillside a bunch of times. Those objects ain't there.
Wow.
No,
So they were following along behind us, watching us ooh and ah, and admire their awesome structures. And I've got a picture of one of the biggest X structure that we found so far, the Super X, and that's about in the orientation where this picture is taken. If you went to the right about 300 yards or so, you would be where it was standing.
Wow.
well, it's not.
And there it
that.
is. That's the
Okay.
one. That's 6 stories tall.
See, now here's the thing. What I love. Okay, well, I'm not like Tex. Tex isn't big on the structures, and for whatever the reason, and the
'Cause they just
structures,
make little danky structures down there in
yeah.
Texas. That's why.
Well, if
If he
they're
had
like 4 foot
skyscrapers like
tall,
this, he'd be into it.
hey, listen, dude. If they're 3 foot tall, I get it, and I don't think anyone's interested. But look, this is what? How tall is this? 90 feet?
60 feet, 6 stories. And look down at the base of it. There's a tree laying on the side of it, and that is butt end up. The
That's
stump
yeah.
end is higher in the air. And if you look in the foreground, and that's a huge tree. These are lodgepole pines. They're 100-foot trees. If you look in the foreground on the lower right-hand side, what's that? There's another uprooted tree right there,
No.
root side up.
No, I mean that's one of the first things I was attracted to this picture was the uprooted tree laying right there, not far from there,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. And
That big rock in the back. If you look on the left-hand side, there's a big boulder with another boulder sitting on top of it. On the top of that boulder, the two of them stacked together there is about 10, 12 feet. And we were down there filming one time, and we caught one of them standing behind that boulder looking at us.
Well, I got to tell you something, and maybe I'm just imagining things. As soon as I seen the boulder to the far left lower corner,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like a figure standing below the tree on top of the rock. Now, I could be all wet on that. I don't know. But to me, it looks like it's got a shape out, and not just that of the tree stump because it's a darker figure compared to the background of the tree.
And it could have been because at this point, there was only two of us there. There was the guy with the camera, and there was me standing underneath it. And in case you guys haven't spotted me yet, look at the very bottom where there's like the light grayish tree, and there's the teeny. I am directly underneath that teepee.
You're like yeah. I mean, okay. Now look at that tree structure, and look at you. You look like a little pebble.
Yeah, I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how big that thing is.
So, Chris, when you look at that, we talk about the tree structures. Look how tall that tree. That tree structure is immense.
I had seen him in the picture, and that's why I was looking. I was like, he's not kidding. It really is 60 feet up there. That's a big one.
You know, and referring back to these tree structures, and I get it. I mean, I like them. I think they're fascinating. I know that the ones you find are like that in your location. But I will ask you this, though. That does not mean that if you're in like lower Michigan or Texas and you see a structure that's maybe 6 feet, that doesn't necessarily say it's tree fault. What are you looking for where that perhaps a Bigfoot did that? I know we don't live in the mountain range, but, just to make sure that you're not providing false evidence.
Well, you can find big structures in other states, too. Their limit is on how big the trees that they're working with are, building material. And I've seen some examples of some really big structures in states where you wouldn't expect them, like Nebraska, for example. Huge. One of them was a complex structure. You had to take 3 pictures to get the whole structure into the picture because it was so damn big. And these are all, trees with trunks like that they had made stuff out of. So it is possible to find them. Main thing is just to look for anomalies. Trees fall over in the woods.
Yeah.
Trees break off and fall over.
Sure.
Trees arch, especially in the northern states where you have winters. Big ice storm covers up all the branches, puts a lot of weight on them, bends the tree over, snaps in that position, whatever, multiple micro fractures, and then it stays bent over. So there's a lot of this stuff you can just explain away. But like as an example with the arched over tree, if the tree is arched over, but the top of the tree is jammed into the ground, that is not natural.
Right.
If the top of the tree has another tree lying on it, holding it down, that is probably not natural. Where'd that other tree come from? And if you look, usually it didn't fall over. It got drug in from somewhere else and laid on the top of that thing. That's what's holding it down. And we've seen some really, really big trees that have been completely arched over like that with another one pinning it down. And we're looking at them going, why didn't the trees just snap? We can't even understand why the hell they didn't just snap. It's like, how do they turn them into rubber to make them bend and then put the weight on it to pin it in that position? It's hard to even figure it out because a lot of these trees are like, they're not very bendable. They should just snap when you try and do that with them.
And this was always a question I had too, because I've seen that where the top of the tree is like thrust into the ground. And let's face it, the tops of trees, now depending on the tree, I mean, in Montana it might be different, but predominantly where I live, the top of a tree, the limbs are no more than 2-3 inches in diameter, if you're lucky. When they get jammed into the ground, Duke, do they dig out and place it there, or they have? Because I don't see how they can forcefully just jam it in there without something breaking.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. What they're doing. We had a tree actually. Kevin Lang from the Glag Saga, the one time he was up here, found it because he saw signs on one side of the road pointing to the other side of the road and went, "There's something over here. Stop." Well, unless you're a Bigfoot guy, you wouldn't know that. So he goes walking up there, and sure enough, there's an area. It looked like a couple sub-adults were trying to outdo each other with their displays of amazingness. And one of them had 2 uprooted trees upside down in an X structure, so roots up. And that was about 30 feet high, so medium size for up here. But the thing that was impressive is one of them had taken a tree and completely arched it over and jammed about 3 or 4 feet of the top into the ground, just like spearing it into the freaking ground. And the top of the arch was like 15-20 feet up.
Wow.
And it took another, I think about 4 years after that, it finally cracked. The bark started snapping on the top and giving away, and you could see where it was actually breaking from the pressure of being in that position, which again makes me go, how in the hell did they put it in that position to start with and not just snap it when they were doing that? Another thing to look for with some of these tree breaks and snaps and stuff is when a tree snaps from natural forces, one or two things is usually happen. It's usually probably an old dead wood anyway, in which case a high wind will snap off the top of the tree. The very top of it, if it's dead or something, it'll snap off, fall down, kill you. That's a widowmaker. If the whole tree is dead or a really bad storm or something like that, and it's just too much wind resistance, the whole tree will snap off right at the base. So like where a logger would cut it or something like that. So here's an anomaly to always watch for. When you see something snapped off in the middle, something did that. That doesn't happen naturally. Either a bear did it or a Bigfoot did it. And that's one of the things they use to mark travel routes. They'll just take a, nice little handy tree about that big and go and snap it over. And you can tell how big they are by how high up the snap mark is, which tend to be almost universally between 6 and 9 feet up, because it's the big individual walking by marking his trail, and he's just reaching out in front of him, grabbing the trunk of the tree and snapping it. So he's not like reaching up or down. He's just reaching right out in front of him, snap.
Wow.
That also gives you an indication of how big they are.
Wow. You had a quick question on this, on with the tree structures. Let me find it real quick. Kevin asked, what kind of ground, sand or soil?
Well, we're in the mountains here, and they're not the mushy mountains; they're the Rocky Mountains.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, it's no
There's
sand.
both. If you're down by a river or something, you can find sand, but generally it's rock and a little bit of dirt clinging to it.
Gotcha.
I guess something here. I got another picture to slap up here, and I've got again the original, and then the one that you kind of did a little outline for. But here we go.
Yeah, that was a week and a half ago up by Waireka Mountain, and we were just up there filming yesterday. And right above where I got the picture of this, there was a fresh track from we think it was Crazy Toe or one of the other ones, but I went up above and found a whole track line, 6-7 tracks up there going up the hillside. But yeah, that's Big Toe, the alpha leader. That's my hand in the track.
That's your hand. I can definitely, right off the bat, I can see the big toe, and I can see 3 other little toes. But however, again, for people, and again, sometimes we say the people that draw the lines are trying to prove a point, but with yours, they're always legitimate. And what I love about and I say,
well, this one, not to cut you off, but one thing I wanted to point out about this one that's kind of different is usually when you get a track, it's sort of on a level surface. This was going up a steep dirt embankment. Wow. So he was digging his toes in to get purchased to take that next step. And if you look close, you can see underneath each toe, there's a pressure ridge where those toes dug in and mounded the dirt underneath them. So there's no freaking denying what that is. And boy, is he big. His foot is 12 inches wide and about 22 inches long.
Wow. How big would that how big would that make him, you think?
About 12 feet.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, about 3/4 of a ton.
Holy smokes. Wow. That's pretty wow.
Yeah, it's disconcerting when you find something like that. And you're like, hey, track over here. Let me put my hand in there and film it. Holy crap, this guy's big.
Yeah.
And I missed that really. I didn't hear part of that. How tall would you estimate that to be, Duke?
About 12 feet, 3/4 of a ton.
Okay. A big one.
That's a big one. And looking at this, it's almost. Mountain giants have 6 toes, right, Duke? Or 3?
No. Nephilim giants have 6 toes. Mountain giants, which is like potentially another thing for the same thing that Norse would call a mountain troll, have 4 toes. They don't have a differentiated hallux, which is your big toe. The toes are all kind of straight across the front of the foot, and they're all the same size, all 4 of them. So it's kind of weird looking.
Okay.
We found 2 of those. What's that?
Were you able to cast that print?
No, like I said, that was on an angle. That was like this.
Yeah.
So you couldn't cast it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I imagine that's not it's all gonna drip. Yeah, I can. That's probably a tough.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you want to build a box around it and like build up layers of plaster and spend a couple days there. And
and here's the thing: you're out in the field, you're doing your research. You don't want to spend all that time just doing that. Take the picture like you did, and that's.
Oh, we got video. We got video from 2 cameras of that thing. So yeah, you're going to get to see it in excruciating detail. And I just figured that's a better way to go. Honestly, out of almost 50 years of doing this, I still haven't bothered to ever cast 1 track, not even 1.
Wow.
Because unless it's so beautiful and pristine in mud, where you've probably got dermal ridges and stuff, then it's really worth it. But other than that, hey man, I'm in the Rocky Mountains. Mud, what's that? There aren't any swamps and mud up here, pretty much. I shouldn't say there aren't any because Montana's giant. There are some, but it's pretty rare. It's not like Minnesota where it's swamps everywhere.
Yeah.
You were mentioning about the dermal ridges and all the great detail in a lot of these tracks that you find and others find. What's your thoughts? I mean, this piece of equipment is probably really expensive, but have you seen the pictures that people have the cameras and they run through the video program that runs the 3D and you can move it around, and it shows the ridges, the dermal ridges, and
Yeah.
the prints. What's your thoughts on that briefly before we move on? It's
I saw
well
they
worth
had
the investment.
that new app that they have for the cameras that have got the 3 lenses that'll do that 3D
Uh-huh.
scan on it. If you're into Bigfooting and you can actually find tracks, that is the best tool you can get your hands on.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because you can look at it from every angle. You can look at it from the sides. You can look at it from underneath. You don't need to carry a damn heavy cast around with you. And that's part of the problem. The trophy cast crowd, well, you said you got 500 pounds of the cast. Where are you putting all of them? How are you hauling them around, bringing them anywhere with you to show them off to people? Isn't it a lot easier to just have a picture or video or here's a 3D scan,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just like a lot more convenient and reasonable to my way of thinking. I mean, the whole casting tracks has its place, but it's kind of a relic of the past at this point. So yeah, 3D scanner.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was probably worth the investment if you got the money for that, and if you are, of course, really doing it like you do all the time. So, but I find that fascinating for not just that, but other photos in the woods or wherever you are. Thanks, Anella, for that.
Yep.
Haven't seen you in a while, Anella. Really great show. Thank you, Anella Gottfried. Good to see you. And again, thanks to everybody for coming on in. If I did not say hi, I just missed you. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming in.
I got to point out, we were talking earlier about old, poor old Papa Craig. That actually, before he had won a contest to go up there with me, and before he even went up there with me, Christie's Sukalu told her to warn me that they didn't like him and they were going to zap him. And I went, well, what am I going to do about that? Like I can't say, sorry, you won a contest, but can't let you come up here. You might get zapped. That'd look a little suspicious.
Right.
So, like I warned them in advance. Well, I hope they don't do anything. And shit.
Well, Papa, always getting zapped. Bigfoot don't like him. Nothing likes Papa.
For anybody that hasn't heard the end part of the story, he's actually on fairly good terms with him now. He made peace with and he gives him parts of his deer or elk or whatever when he's hunting, and they don't follow him around and push over trees nearby and stuff anymore like they were for quite a while.
So why didn't they like him? What was it about him that they didn't like?
Apparently at some point he either aimed his gun at or took a shot at one.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Now I'll ask you this. I know we've talked about this, but for our audience, you shoot at a Bigfoot. The I don't want to say that particular clan, but other Bigfoot know. It's like we talk about all the time, your intentions, right? Do they have the ability to know that, hey, this guy's kind of bad news? Maybe he shot at a Bigfoot in Montana, but now you're in Nebraska or you're in Michigan.
Yep.
They still know that about you, don't they?
Yep. Yeah. It's kind of like having a wanted poster with your face hung all over the place on the internet. This jerk shot at one of us. Oh, okay. So when the rest of them see his face, they're like, oh, that's that guy that shot at one of us. Zap him.
So really, I mean, I don't want to get into this really today, though, but really then it's kind of like they can communicate amongst their tribes throughout all 48, the lower 48 in Alaska, or if you want to include Alaska. So they have this communication.
Really, it's worldwide, but I get the impression that continent to continent, they don't bother to communicate a lot because they don't have any close relatives there, if you know what I mean. But they do move around on the continent, like here in North America and Central America and stuff. So they will stay in touch with each other, and because of that, they're they've got their own little internet too. It's just ESP, telepathy, mind speaking internet.
So I guess I'll ask you the question then. I mean, we got a lot more pictures that we'll show, and for everybody listening, Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central, please subscribe on YouTube. Also, he's found on Rumble. We'll get into that just a little bit. I know there's a lot of people that are staunch, 100%. Bigfoot's just in the Aper camp, and other people, flesh and blood and paranormal combinations. So really, Duke, And I know you've been doing this for so long, and I know many years ago you were probably more flesh and blood, and the paranormal thing for you, and I don't put words in your mouth, was probably something you had a hard time grasping. But as you've evolved as a researcher, the paranormal element is prevalent with Bigfoot, I would say. Is that a correct statement? Accurate statement?
Just as a matter of intellectual honesty and lots of experience, when you start seeing weird things with your own eyes or filming them, it starts to add up that there's some kind of paranormal element going on there. Like one of the pictures that we got up at the ghost town of Coloma was something bending the light around it. Well, how in the hell does that happen?
Right.
And when you draw the outline around the distortion area, it looks like a humanoid shape with its arms reaching out toward the camera person. So that's creepy as shit. And then you got the video from, I believe it was Vermont, where there was a guy just filming across the river, and there's this big black blob, Bigfoot looking shape. And while he's filming it, it fades out and turns green. You could still see the outline. It's still there. It just changed color and turned green and blended in. And I sent that video to Blaine Tyler, Mr. Bigfoot Marn from Northeast Ontario, Canada. And he sent me back screen captures going, yeah, I brightened it up. There's two more of them sitting in the bush behind them.
Wow. Wow.
Well, that's another guy, Blaine Tyler, I need back on the show because that guy can find they like love him.
And Blaine's absolutely amazing. He's really good at getting pictures, and he's all around good guy and good researcher. And I was happy to have him as a cast member on Inevitably Finding Bigfoot when we went out on our big attempt to go out and find a Bigfoot in Nebraska with 1 day of time to do it. Christy Sci-Fi in the chat room right now. She was also another team member that was in on that one.
Well, Christy Sci-Fi is also another magnet for the Bigfoot. And yeah. So, yeah, you got a good little team you have together. They're doing all great researchers. And, nice thing about everybody that you're associated with, all different backgrounds, beliefs, and they're open-minded, which I think more and more people need to be open-minded. And moving on here, we've got...
let's show some more pictures.
I got some more pictures. Show and tell, everybody. It's like third grade. Today's the first day of school, by the way, everybody. Show and tell on BMR Show.
Hey, Christy Sci-Fi corrected the record and said Papa Craig pointed a gun at one of them.
Yeah, okay.
That's why there was wiggle room for him to get it on better terms with him, because he didn't actually shoot it. He just pointed a gun. And he doesn't remember doing that. So it may have been that he thought it was a bear or something at the time, and they just got offended by it.
Well, more show and tell. I could pick this out, but that's just me. This is it's a track, it's a print. So everybody, there it is. It's been up for about 2 minutes. Now I'll just go on to this with the outline, which you again.
And the interesting thing about this one is, where was the picture taken? I was actually camping in one of the outbuildings of the Nebraska Bigfoot Museum that they were working on. They didn't even have a completely wired for power or anything yet, and I was staying in there during the conference. We had torrential rainstorms, and the area adjacent to it, they have this trench put in that they're going to pour concrete and make a sidewalk there, but there's no concrete in it yet. It's just got loose dirt and leaves in it. Well, after the torrential rainstorm, I come out in the morning, 10 feet from the door of the building I'm staying in, there's that track. Wow. The night before that, I had been out in the back. She's got like a huge garden out behind the conference of the museum, and there was a torrential rainstorm going on. I was sitting back there under cover having a cigarette, and I'm looking back at the building that I'm staying in. There was a little porch light on there, and as I'm looking at it, something goes whizzing past really fast, red glowing thing about 8 feet up, going against the wind, which at that point was blowing at about 40 miles an hour. So I'm like, okay, what the hell was that? And then shortly after that, boom, the skies just opened up, massive downpour. I'm running for shelter, trying to get to the building. Yeah, it was the one that was in the backyard spying on me. And he's like, oh yeah, bad storm about to hit. I'm out of here. Whew. So anyway, that was probably his track the following day there that I found there. And according to the two people that were staying in the museum, which is the owner, Harriet, and Forrest was staying there overnight too. They were both on the second floor, and Forrest had something tapping on his window that woke him up. That's on the second floor, keep in mind, and he's deaf. I mean, like really, really deaf. So it had to be loud to wake him up.
Mhm.
And the following day after that, I was still sleeping, and I heard somebody tapping on the door on the outbuilding I was in. It was Sunday morning, and got up to see who was there. There was nobody there. As a matter of
Wow.
fact, the two people that were staying at the house were also not there. The parking lot was empty. There was no one there.
Wow.
Yeah, and here's the kicker on the whole thing. I'm getting ready to take off. Sunday night, I was up. It was Sunday night. I was up there telling Harriet and Forrest about, hey, there's a track down here. They came down, looked at it, went back up to the house. We're standing up there talking, and all of a sudden, tap, tap, tap on the door, exactly the same as I heard that morning. And she goes, "Oh, who's that?" She's standing right next to the door, opens it. There's no one there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Creepy.
That is creepy.
Creepy indeed.
Sneaky. Yeah, actually, Christy thinks I should tell you the story of the stink. That was the year before. They were having a huge windstorm there. The entire time we were there for the conference, me and Christy and Blaine were all staying at the museum there, and I went outside to have a cigarette, and it was, like I said, 45, 50 mile an hour wind, just typhoon, and you don't picture it being like constant winds at that. Yeah, but this is Nebraska. So you can't even light the cigarette outside. You got to light it indoors and then walk out. And I'm standing out there smoking the cig, and all of a sudden I start smelling this dirty diaper, open sewer, somebody with really bad gas, horrible smell. And I'm looking at my shoes. Did I step in something? No. Walk a little bit further. I shouldn't be able to smell anything. It's like a 40-mile-an-hour wind, man. Still this stink. So I go walking around the other side of the house where it is in the wind, and this damn stink is following me all the way around the house in this high wind. And finally, I'm almost done with my cigarette. It's been almost like 10 minutes, and I'm over by the door, and I'm like, dude, take a bath. Quit farting on me.
I know why Christy liked that story. I liked it too. Yeah, that's
Yeah, he was basically following me around, ripping ass the whole time that I was walking around out there.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So did it quit?
Well, I don't know. I went indoors after that, so I didn't have to smell it. That was the next time we came out, I think, is when me and Christy were out in the back by where the main entrance to the museum is, and there was one sitting in the little tree line not very far away from us. Christy spotted him and snapped a picture of him.
Wow.
And that's in the Inevitably Finding Bigfoot movie, because, yeah. There was the other one we found. It found us. He found us.
All right.
He looks like a hillbilly. He's got a big beard.
Nothing wrong with the hillbillies. Nothing wrong.
Hillbilly Sasquatch. Well,
Yeah,
shall we
yeah.
show him some more pictures? We still got some left.
I
Right?
no, hey buddy, I'm letting you talk, tell the story, working out perfectly. Here's another one. While I put this up, I'm letting the dog out. I'll be back in a second, but yeah, break this down, and the lovely Krista can and it'll take a good look at it.
Who let the dogs out? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Bob let the dogs out. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Okay, I see something
Wow.
there. With some eyes and looks
Yep.
like a mouth or something.
And that's shoulders and a head and eyes and a nose and a mouth. And
Yeah.
the reason the mouth looks elongated upward is because when you bring up the higher resolution, higher colored version, he's actually sticking his tongue out at me, the little shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's giving me the
Kind
raspberry.
of playing with you.
This is a picture that Figgy found in my 11-year-old video, Beyond the Skeleton Tree, where I went into a thicket, a dense pine thicket with a labyrinth of trails in there, and there were several Bigfoot in there watching me walking around. That was one of the juvies. And Figgy managed to pull that image out, which is amazing because this camera was like a potato with a lens on it. And so it was amazing that I got an image of them at all. But it's kind of funny, and I'm going to re-show this very soon and include the breakdown that Figgy did on this one in the show. Because this is something we've talked about for a while, their ability to control, manipulate electronic equipment. I'm standing about 15, 20 feet away from them. I've got the camera aimed right at them, and the camera will not focus. It won't focus. It won't focus. It won't focus. I'm standing, like, as long as it just took me to say that, I'm still standing there trying to, the camera isn't going to focus. So as soon as I turned the camera off that spot, it focused.
Oh,
So
wow.
as the camera was turning away from him, it
Yeah.
focused in and caught the little shit giving me the raspberry.
That's funny.
So this image here,
Show the other ones, the earlier ones. The wider image one is the actual. No, not that one.
Yeah,
Wrong one.
let's see. I got a whole bunch here. Oh, let's see.
That's the wood knocker video. That's the wrong one.
Well, let's see.
That's a little bit wider angle. You almost found the
Oh,
right
wow.
one.
You really see.
We're looking for the same picture over and over again.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Just
kind of
different
trying to find. Would it be green background? I've got.
It's
that
got a
one.
bunch of different backgrounds. The original's a green background. That's got the light. That's a lighter background right there.
What about that? That's the same.
That's
one.
obviously the same picture, just from further away.
Mhm.
Well, I got 19 here. I showed most of them without giving them all away. And here's another green one. I don't know if I showed this.
No, that's a wood knocker. That's a wood knocker and her pet.
I want to, okay, talk about this one. This is an interesting picture.
Oh,
This is from a video that we got of that's, as far as I know, the only video of a Bigfoot doing a wood knock. And that's a young female and her little weird pet that's on her to her right there, whatever it is.
Wow.
Kind of canid critter. And there's a blue squeezy doggy donut that's hanging on the tree branch in front of her. That's that blue thing is. And behind her, there's actually a bigger adult. And as soon as he gets the camera on her and that little critter duck down and start wrestling around. You can see him between the pine boughs, but that's the only clear shot of her. But then you can see the other one actually sticks his face out and looks, and then turns and wood knocks the tree next to him, and then looks back again to see the cameraman still looking in his direction, which he was, and had the camera on. So we actually caught the only video that I know of a Bigfoot doing a wood knock. And like I said, there's two of them plus anomalous weird pet critter, whatever the thing is there on the right.
Wow.
you know, when I look at this, man, you can distinctly see a face, right?
Absolutely.
Smack dab in the-
It's a person.
Absolutely.
Like, look how
It looks
defined
like
the
a
nose is.
person, and then even to the right, it looks kind of like a dog. To the right, off to my right, our right,
Mhm.
there's you can see like, as you said, some sort of little creature, whatever that is, and then down below you can see like what looks like an actual like a dog.
Yeah.
Right, Duke, lower right,
Yeah.
so down. You know, that's something going on there. I do believe.
So you must have missed all the pictures that I sent you afterwards then.
Yeah, you know, I got 19 downloaded. 2 did not download for whatever the reason, so I might have missed that, and I do apologize for
They
that.
got another one that's got a 5-story teepee structure that's got a X underneath it and a Bigfoot standing in the background watching me.
Yeah.
And then we've got the really blown out colorized version of that close up that Figgy found there that's got you can actually see him sticking his tongue out at me.
Mhm.
Shit.
Wow.
Let's see. We got some here. I'm gonna go move on to this.
Wow.
What we have going on here? This is kind of a crazy looking dude. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find those other ones. Like I got 19 here, so I'm just gonna move down and scroll down here, Duke. And this one here I haven't shown yet and talked about that one. If you're gonna give us a little background on this.
If you missed some of them, you can go back and grab them right now from me. We actually got them.
I can do when I take a look for that, and I will I'll get myself off this and go back on MeWe, Duke. And we can talk
Yeah.
about this while I'm
It's
in
all the
my,
ones that the second group that I sent you. You're missing some of them, I think.
I'll take a look at that right now. I'll leave you guys for the moment. I'm gonna go look for those.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get a cigarette here too, so I shall be back.
All right. Well, Krista, you could talk about what you got coming up really quickly,
I can do
and
that.
I will. I'll go look this up. I'm just going to get out
I'm
of
going to
this.
take this picture. I was going to say, I'm going to take that picture down.
Yeah, you take care of that. I'm going to find those other couple that he sent me on over.
That'll work. Well, you guys are stuck with me for a minute, but we've got Blondes and Booze. So this Thursday night, Brandy and I are going to be talking about the fires that's burning underground. I believe it's in Pennsylvania, and there's also it's called the Pathway to Hell. So we're going to be talking about that on Thursday night, and Friday night we're going to talk about the Missouri Momo monster. And next week we have the Kling brothers from the old TV show Ghost Lab. So they're going to come on our show and hang out with us for a while. And yeah, that's some upcoming shows that we have. And then we have Friday the 13th, we have we're going to be at a place called the Haunted Castle House in Brumley, Missouri. And Brandy and myself and Paranormal Paul, who's in chat, he'll be there with us. And none of us have never been there. So it's going to be really cool. We'll, I was told that you don't get any cell service there. However, we'll be doing some short videos and things like that there. So anyway, that's going to be interesting. And it's on Friday the 13th. So kind of looking forward to that. And then Saturday, October 26th, Brandy and I have an event at the Ray County Museum in Richmond, Missouri. And it is, where the daytime portion is, we're doing a Paranormal 101 and a Cryptid 101. And it's the Paranormal 101, our friends from After Dark Paranormal, Terry Mosby. She's going to be doing that presentation, her and Holly. And they've got everything from like the ghost helmet to all kinds of stuff. So they'll be bringing that, and you can check all of that stuff out. Then the Cryptid 101, Brandy and I are going to do, and we're going to talk about all the cool cryptids that we hear and talk about. Everything from, probably won't do Bigfoot because everybody knows Bigfoot, but everything from like the Janot Squad, the Mothman. We'll get into some cool ones. So. And then that evening, we have the overnight ghost hunt. So, and we're going to feed you. It's a spaghetti dinner. And we'll feed you that night. And we're going to ghost hunt until 2 a.m. So tickets are really cheap for that. They're for the daytime portions, only $15. But if you want to come and do the whole thing, it's only $65 for the whole day and night and dinner, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, come over and check all that out if you're in the Missouri area. So it'll be fun. And Val, I don't know if you're meaning me or what, but it says what area is that in? I'm not sure if you're talking to me about where the museum is, which is in Richmond, Missouri. So anyway, it looks like Mickey should be coming to the event. So yeah, it's going to be cool. We're going to have some cool things, and we've sold quite a few tickets, and we're looking forward to that. We always enjoy those things, and we've done I've done Paranormal 101s before at the museum, and it's honestly Brandy and I do them. We just do it to raise money for the museum, So we don't pocket the money; it goes back to the museum. And it's for historical preservation because, without historical preservation, places like the museum and these asylums and these hospitals, these poor farms, they wouldn't be standing, without people donating or giving to them or doing the ghost hunt. So that's why we do this. So our history is not totally wiped away. And thank you very much, Maggie. And let's see here. What else we got here? I'm just let's see if there's any more questions. Ania says Brumley's in the middle of nowhere, probably can get texting service, but not alive. Maybe if clouds are just right, you might get cell service. I'm hoping to, but I was told that I probably won't. I have AT&T, and usually AT&T can get out just about everywhere I go. So we'll see. If for some reason I do get out, we will go live for sure. So what other questions? I'm looking here. So Pancho asked if there are accommodations like at the last one. So at the museum, there is a Super 8 that's right there in town that people can stay at. It's pretty reasonable. And I've stayed there many times myself. So Pancho, you're welcome to come up. Be good to see you again. I'm trying to see any more questions. Hey, Chris. Good to see you. Let me look here. Yeah, and then Paranormal Paul will be at the Ray County Museum as well. And he will be going live from the museum, the one on the 26th. We also have our friend Greg Ogles, who did the Legend of the Downey Booger. And he put that documentary out. And then also Cryptic Expeditions Land Between the Lakes, which that premieres in, I believe, January. So David says, any recent spooky, scary moments? Actually, yes. I went camping this weekend, and I went to a place in Greenville, Missouri, just a very, very small town. And I have a horse trailer. It's got living quarters in it, and it's got, we've got the full hookups, bathroom, the whole 9 yards. And in the morning, this was Sunday morning, my smoke alarm went off, and it never goes off. I mean, like, everybody was sleeping, nobody was cooking, nobody took a hot shower, everybody was still in bed. And it went off. And my husband said that he had changed the battery in the smoke alarm like right at the end of July. So I don't think it was the battery. And then in that evening, you can see, I just posted the video on our page where we've got a cooker thing to cook over the fire, and it's kind of hanging on chains, and it started swirling. It started spinning just like out of the blue. So it's just like a 1.5-minute video. You guys can go on there and check on that. And so my scary stories wasn't really scary. I just wish I had my ghost hunting equipment with me, because this was a family thing I did. So I did not go prepared. So anyway.
Well, hello, Krista. Thank you for that. I found 7 additional pictures.
These poor people, man, they're like, come on, guys, hurry and get back.
We got it. And I want to thank, before we get started, I found 7 additional pictures. I'm sure they're more recent that I did not have. So I can pull those up when Duke is back from his little smoke break. But before we do get on with that, I certainly do want to take time out. Kelly Sandiford, thank you for your super chat. Denise for the super chat. Gary Spike Sr. for the 5 memberships. Mindfork for the super sticker. Anella for the super chats. Two Shadows for the super chat. Maggie for your awesome super sticker. Thanks to everybody for donating. Of course, it's not expected, but always appreciated. So, with that being said, and go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Pancho makes a comment. Southern Illinois Bigfoot Conference this weekend. He'll be there. Honestly, Brandy and I had plans to go, but as everybody knows, on weekends is on Friday nights, we'd have football games with our kids. And unfortunately, this weekend, we have a big deal with my kid in competition. So we are unable to go to that. We were going to go, though.
Awesome. Well, Duke, sorry about that. I've got 7 more additional pictures. I guess they're the ones that I know you sent them to me, and why I didn't get them earlier, I have no idea. But the show goes on. My apologies on that, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on in.
Hey, I wanted to point out something that's going on in chat room right now. Figgy's talking about how another Bigfoot researcher was actually doing a video where they were camping at LBL. And after they showed the video, she went through and looked at it, like she did with my video from 11 years ago, and went, hey, there's a dog man right here. Really big one. And got the screen capture of it and sent it to me. And I'm like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you send it to the crazy guy that's doing this to maybe give him a little hint?
Well, I'll be going to the LBL actually next month. Brandy and I have plans. We're camping.
That LBL, everybody. I did go through there with Krista, and I tell you what, that was pretty creepy.
It's got a weird
Of course,
vibe.
walking on dead bodies in the cemetery kind of.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, Duke. Thanks for everybody for showing out tonight. Awesome show, awesome guests as always. So I got 7 more you sent me, Duke, that I finally got on here. I don't know. I just put them in the order in which you sent them, so I don't know. I guess we'll just take it from there.
Whatever. We'll just talk about them as we
Let's
see them.
see what
here.
we got going on here, brother. And so let me get over to it. So this is new Duke 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got video of that. Yeah, down at the bottom, you can see there's an X structure. Behind it, you can't see it. There's another little mini structure that they made back there, all around. And this is underneath a teepee. That teepee is 50 feet tall. And I'm way back from it, zooming in on it. And who's in the background looking at me?
Well, yeah. Guess who? Right.
Wow.
So when you say the teepee structure, I'm seeing right way above the picture at the bottom that you have circled in the red. You've got that's the teepee structure up towards the top, right? That's
Yeah, it's so big you can't even. It's so big you can't even
get
see
in
the top
picture,
of it.
can you?
Yeah, exactly. You have to
See,
stand back so far to get this thing in frame that there's too many trees in the way and you can't get it. Which is why I have to like walk around it at different angles and film parts of it.
I got to tell you, for everyone watching and listening, and to you, Krista,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like the place we got to go to see stuff like this. I mean,
Right.
you just can't see it in certain states of in the United States. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
fantastic.
So, quick question, Duke. Somebody asked, let me find it here. Asked what area this, I know you said Montana, but can you,
Sapphire Mountains.
Sapphire Mountains. What is the elevation? Just curious.
Where this was taken, about 6,700
Okay.
on the high side of their usual range.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you looking at that picture, you can see the size of some of those tree trunks. They're like 2-3 feet thick.
Mhm.
And we were up there. That giant X that we showed is actually on top of that ridge line to the right of where this was taken.
Mhm.
No longer there. When they deconstructed that X and they literally took it down, the trees they made it out of were all lying in a pile next to each other right now. I immediately sent Mike down the ravine to where this thing was because they had a smaller X there. And I went, Mike, go check and see if they took that other X apart too. And when he gets down there, he yells to me. He's so far away I can barely hear him. Hey, come over here. So I walk across the top of the hill and I look down and I'm like, what the? Yeah. Well, they turned their X structure into a teepee. And then over the course of the next year and a half, they kept adding things onto it. So every time we'd go there, we'd film it and see that there was new stuff on it. This isn't like random nature pushing trees down. And one of the best ones is there's about a 40-foot tall pine tree that was there initially. And for the first 2 or 3 times we filmed it, and then like the fourth or fifth time we filmed it, all of a sudden the top of that is bent and it's underneath the teepee.
Mhm.
Like, how the hell does that happen?
Right. Right.
Out.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to go on to a second one here that I was able to pull up, Duke. We'll just roll from there.
Oh, yeah. That's actually a Blaine picture. I'm not sure how we got that one, but that's a recent picture that Blaine pulled out of. I think that's actually from Bluff Creek video.
Yeah, because I got a few that say BT on it.
Yeah, those are Blaine stuff.
That's a Blaine pictures. Another these next couple are Blaine pictures. A couple of them here. Another one here in the background.
Yeah, this is from the. See, that's John Green standing right there.
Okay.
John Green and I think it was Titmus and their killer doggy that was supposedly super deadly, and they're wandering around looking at Bigfoot tracks, and there's a Bigfoot standing behind them watching them. Blaine likes to point that kind of stuff out. They're not really good at being field researchers.
Yeah, right. And, I guess the same.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the. And then I got this.
Yeah, that's the longer range shot of the one we just showed.
Mhm.
Like, no, that's not obvious at all there, Mr. Green.
Yeah, no. Where's the last of the
And your
new
killer
ones?
dog senses suck because you can't smell a Bigfoot that's 30 feet away from him.
Yeah. He does get some good images. Where's the last ones I was able to pull up? There's 22 in total, but this does something.
That's
And
the one
this
that
is,
we showed earlier. There's the original screen capture of it. As I'm trying to get the camera to focus, and finally, as I start pulling the camera away, it focuses, and that's all Figgy had to work with. And she managed to bring up those other really good versions of it that you can see a lot of detail. And the funny thing was that there's one of them.
yeah.
You can see the head, the shoulders, eyes, mouth protuberance sticking up too high. The reason for that is if you have one of the other enhancements, it's got more color and more brightness on it. He's giving me the raspberry, sticking his tongue out at me.
Yeah,
But,
that's what we were
yeah.
talking. Yeah, I can I can see that, but and I got to ask you because these are fantastic pictures and photos you've captured, and of course, Blaine's got some great pictures. Let me ask you, when you're out there, I know you don't use your phone. I know you have professional photography equipment, but when you're taking pictures, Duke, are you just randomly taking shots in the forest, hoping to get a capture, or is this when you hear something trudging through the forest, or you got a gut feeling? I mean, like for a person like myself, I'm out there, I got a camera. What do you recommend? Is taking the pictures blatantly or amongst the forest, or is it something that you think you see something with the naked eye first?
Mm, sometimes you spot something that looks anomalous, and you can zoom in on it, and occasionally it does turn out to be a Bigfoot. But usually it's just you're filming the background, which is why most Bigfoot researchers need to learn to do their pans slower so things don't blur. And especially because sometimes you're zoomed in and you forget that you're like at a huge distance, so any tiny movement comes across as being a lot and it blurs things out. So that's a trick that takes a lot of training to get used to. Actually, I was talking to Kelly Shaw about that earlier, and he said, like he's jealous of Jenny, his girlfriend, because she could do that right from the get go. And he's been working on it for 10 years and still doesn't have it perfect like she does. She's a really stable camera person. But yeah, a lot of it is just that you'll get the feeling there's something around, so you just do a slow pan around, and then you go back and look at it later and go, there's one right there, there's one right there, there's one right there. Holy crap, there's one 12 feet in front of me in that brush pile.
Yeah. Well, and I like the fact that we're showing some of these pictures tonight because I hate that term blob squatch. I mean, I think that's a lazy term. I think that you just made a good point where people just don't know how to take photographs, right? You got to be slow, deliberate when you're doing something. And certainly if you're panning extremely fast, I don't care if you're taking a picture of me walking in the forest, it's going to be a blob rob.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, you really have to be diligent about what you're doing, don't you? I mean, you
The other
got to,
thing is the camera isn't like all knowing. It doesn't know exactly where in the shot that you're taking the Bigfoot's hiding. It
and you
doesn't
have to get,
know that it should try and
yeah,
actually get a nice clear version of him and what the depth of view is and where he's hiding. And if you're using like a camera that's got automatic focus on it, it will focus on whatever object is in the foreground generally. And they like to hide behind things. So while you're trying to focus in on them, the camera's focusing on the damn leaf in front of them. So they're
right.
blurry. So unless you've got a really good camera and you're not doing an autofocus, you're doing it manually. It's really, 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 really most of it's accidental. Probably, 70% of the ones that I've got have been accidental. I'm just filming something in the background, or I think there's something back there maybe, and I don't even see them until afterwards, or somebody else sees them and points them out, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God I was doing a slow pan, or it would have been just a blurry mess." You know.
A mutual friend of ours was talking about something she told me last year where she'll take her camera and just kind of pan now her camera from her phone now, not equipment, not a professional camera, and just kind of do a random motion in the tree line and then look. And sometimes I guess the reasoning behind that was because if a Bigfoot knows that we're taking a picture of them or thinking that we are, they're not going to show themselves. But if you're just kind of acting like lackadaisical, and you're just like no, I'm just out here. I'm hiking, and they're more apparent. They're more readily shown. Do you believe in that, or you think it's just
Absolutely. If they think you're filming them, they'll zap your damn camera. They can make it go out of focus. That's what that one little shit that Figgy got the screen capture of was doing. You watch the original video Beyond the Skeleton Tree. I've got the camera pointing at him for quite a while, and it won't go into focus. And as soon as I start turning the camera away, then he goes into focus, and I got his image.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So yeah, it's better if they don't know that you're trying to film or anything. And one of my favorite tricks is just to walk along with my arm out and the camera filming to my side, not looking at what I'm filming. I'm looking like straight ahead or up here or something. They don't realize the camera's seeing them. They're looking at where I'm looking at. I'm not looking there.
Right.
Oh, okay. They can move. They can pop up, look at me, whatever. They don't know that, And Jeff did the same thing when we were up on Mount Sentinel, and he got video of Mr. Big up there. There's all 12 foot of him. He was just standing back in the tree line watching Jeff walk past, and Jeff had his left arm out holding the camera and was just walking along this, road bed and a super steep embankment on the other side with his arm stuck out far enough to film what was down below him. He actually caught 3 of them, including Mr. Big, who's actually on a T-shirt on my Teespring store.
yes?
Sasquatch has my back. That's Mr. Big himself right there, all 12 feet of him. We scaled him. We know exactly how big he was. Plus, I found his track. I sent Rob a picture of it. It's one of the ones he didn't get. It's 21 inches long. Yeah, and he's a big boy.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, what's your thoughts on these people that walk around with the cameras on their back, trying to give off that
I was going to
misconception?
say, somebody in chat said that they did that. Maggie, I think it was, said she did that.
It's not a bad idea. It actually works. The only problem with it is that who's going to sit there and look at all that video? Like, you're going to have to go through and look at all that video and slowly to make sure you don't miss anything.
Yeah.
So if you're walking around for an hour, it's going to take you like 4 hours to go through all that video.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we showed that already.
There we go. There's one of the Mount Sentinel tracks right there. That's not from the big alpha male, but that's like a 17, 18-inch track, and that's from the far side of the ridge that I was just filming on the episode I got up on Rumble right now, 2 episodes, some at Camp Duke. I was up there reading stories and looking at structures and whatnot, and there's a track that was from the opposite side. I was just randomly wandering around looking for structures, and I looked down and went, "Hey, giant track!" Jeff, come here, check it out, giant track.
Very cool.
It really is amazing the size of some of these tracks that they're able to capture. It really is.
Yeah, it's hard to. Well, like the latest one that. I just filmed it yesterday, and Kelly Shaw already put it out this morning on Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization. You guys go check that out. But I didn't have my tape measure with me, and I'm walking along this ridge line. It's steep. And he's going along the ridge line the same direction I was going, coincidentally. I'm just kind of following the smart route to go down. Of course, he did that already. So there's his track. And I come on it, and I go, oh, okay, well, this crater is obviously a Bigfoot track. Don't have a tape measure handy. I'll just put my foot right next to it and film my foot next to it, because my foot and my shoe is 12 inches exactly. So you can scale it to figure out exactly how big it is. Kelly already looked at it, and he went, yeah, it's like 18 or 19 inches. And I said, well, it's got to be Crazy Toe then, because that's the one that runs around up there and leaves the 19-inch tracks all the time. So it's just another one of his tracks.
Wow.
Not to be confused with Crazy Horse. It's Crazy Toe. He's the sub-adult, in a 19.5-inch track. You think like, oh God, he's got to be the alpha. No. The alpha's got a 22-inch track. That's the one we showed at the beginning with my hand in it. That's like the 3rd or 4th track we found from him.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is a big print.
There we go. That's Mr. Big's print right there that we were just talking about, the 12-foot guy. You can get the design with him looking around the tree at us. On my Teespring store, Sasquatch Has My Back is the design. And my foot is not on the heel of that track. My foot is in the middle of the track.
No way.
Holy cow.
Yes. That thing is about 2.5, 3 inches deep. And when his toes came down, it crushed this rotting log in the front and took that out too.
Wow.
That was so epically scary. I was standing not too far away from there, talking to somebody on the cell phone, and these other hikers came through, and they spotted it immediately just walking past it. And one of them went, "Holy crap, man, is that a track?" And the other one goes, "I don't care, let's leave."
You know, I don't know, man. I'd love to see these sort of tracks if I was out in the field, and I certainly would want to learn and find out more about it. But you have to explain to people. I've told my story ad nauseum, and I'm not getting into that. But really, though, and I know you've had some visuals for sure. We know all about the Glag saga,
Yeah.
which was with your friend.
Glag I
And
haven't seen, but I've seen plenty.
I
of
know
it
you haven't
before.
seen Glag. You've seen plenty. I mean, and you've been doing this for a long time. And I have to ask you, when you see something that's, they exist, of course, but
Yeah.
for something that's supposedly not supposed to exist, and just to see it, the mass, the size, no matter how long you've been doing this, doesn't it still kind of get that adrenaline going? Like, I just can't believe what I'm visualizing here. I mean, for you, it might be old hat, but to me, it's
No, it never gets to be old
amazing.
hat, and it's so rare that you actually get to see them. You know,
Yeah.
usually you're just finding tracks or giant structures, and
Right.
that's enough. I mean, that's like reconfirmation. How many times do you have to have it confirmed to you over and over and over and over again that they're real and they're out there? You know, me and Johnny just went out yesterday and found another almost dozen tracks just in the afternoon, walking around one area. So it's like, obviously it's real and it's out there. A myth doesn't leave tracks. Legends leave tracks.
There you
Bigfoot
go.
is a legend that's real. But
Amelia.
it's pretty jarring. You start finding tracks that are almost 2 feet long. You find, 50, 60 foot structures. Whatever's moving this stuff around is gigantic, tremendously powerful. You're talking about, Bigfoot that are 3/4 of a ton, maybe bigger.
Well, there you go. You just answered.
Yeah.
Amelia, you just
Mr.
asked.
Big at 12 feet, he's probably about 3/4 of a ton,
Wow.
maybe bigger.
That's a big one.
He's pretty stocky build. He's kind of built like the Hulk, so he weighs a lot.
Wow.
Well, Duke, I mean, for some of the pictures that we looked at earlier in the show, for something to pull a, I don't know, 2.5, 3 foot round base of the stump of a tree out and uproot it, and to throw it upside down and make the big X structure with the roots at the top, that is a mess. That's immense strength. I mean, that's the strength of 20 guys could not do that. Hell, 50 guys. I first of all, 50 guys couldn't wrap their arms around a tree. It's too many men. 50 men, though, let's put it to you, they can't pull a tree out of the ground.
Yeah, you got to uproot the tree and rip it out of the ground with the roots intact.
Yeah.
Then turn it upside down and cram the top into the ground so it don't fall over.
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
I mean, that's inhuman strength.
Oh,
Some suggest it might not even be of this world.
Wow.
Johnny in the chat room saying I'm his Indian tracker. It almost took me almost 50 years to get an official Indian tracker on my team.
Wow.
Johnny's getting really good at it too. If there's any tracks around, he generally spots them. He doesn't miss very much anymore. So only since last year he started going out. And I was just talking about this yesterday, and all the times that we've been out so far, me and Johnny have not even been skunked once. The only other team member I've had with a record like that was Michael Matt. And out of all the times that we went out for about 3 or 4 years, we never got skunked even once. So that's kind of fun when you got a team like that. Oh, I got so-and-so with me. This time we're going to find evidence for sure, because we always do.
Wow.
For those of you joining late, you have to rewatch replay, because in the beginning, lots of great pictures, lots of great evidence. Once again, from Duke from World Bigfoot Central. Subscribe on YouTube. Also, World Bigfoot Radio, the other name out there, and he's also found on Rumble and
BitChute and Odyssey.
Yeah, well, Duke's all over. You won't find him on
Twitter.
Facebook, though. You won't. Oh no! Wait a minute. Did you just say you're on Twitter?
I'm on X. Yes.
Oh boy, X. Okay, well I gotta look you up because I'm on X.
I'm on X too.
I gotta look your ass up now. I didn't think you went that to extreme. But
Yeah, as a matter of
I
fact,
know you're not on Facebook, or as you call Fascist Book.
Fascist Book, I'm not on there. I do have a group on there though, Montana Bigfoot Project, which has like 6,000 members or something. But yeah, I actually posted the link to this goofy show on my YouTube community tab. So all my channel viewers are going to know that I was on here and they'll watch it if they're not
Awesome.
already.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
cool.
it's never goofy when you're on, dude. It's always goofy.
That's why it's goofy, because I'm on here.
You know? But like I tell everybody, embrace the weird. I promote strangeness and weirdness because, hey, let's face it, we're a low percentage of people that actually are into this, have seen this. 3 of us have seen an actual Bigfoot, right? A lot of people in chat and a lot of people watching it. In fact, let me look something up really quick. I want to think we had 115 people at one point, and then we dwindled down to only 92, which is great. It's so awesome. But there's also, okay, let me look at everybody watching. Wow, 412 people watching live somewhere in the state of right in the United States. 412, like it, everybody, and you're as important as the people in chat. That's awesome. Thank you so much for showing out tonight, because it's always a great show when Duke comes on, and Duke kind of got me out of a little bit of a jam tonight. He wasn't supposed to come on until middle of the month, and we're gonna have you back probably October, maybe November. Give you a little time off. Hey, Duke, do me a favor. Give everybody, we're going to talk mountain giants next time you're on. Give everyone a snapshot, a little preview of what to expect in a couple months, maybe around Thanksgiving.
Actually, related to that, coming up shortly on my channel, one of my story readings from the new thing that I'm doing on my channel, which is Summit Camp Duke, where I go to where there's Bigfoot evidence, and I set up my little camp chair, and I read a Bigfoot story. Kind of like those other channels, some of those other channels that do that, except I actually go to where there's Bigfoot evidence and show it, and then read the story. Anyway, one of the things on there is about mountain giants, and it's from, if you guys want to go in advance and get a book on this, Lauren Coleman and Mark A. Hall wrote a book called True Giants. Is Gigantopithecus Still Alive? Which I would say no. But what they did is they collected all reports from all over the world that they could get their hands on that indicated giant bipedal hominids, but perhaps not Bigfoot, especially ones that were so outsized, gigantic, that they were just outside the range of normal Bigfoot. And I got William Lunsford calling me right now, so
He's awesome.
I'll call him back.
He is literally one of my favorite people. Like, he is awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's the anchor man down there in the deep south. He gets the best stuff down there.
Yeah, he
Plus,
took
he's
us
the fastest mouth in the south. William Lunsford can do a 3-hour show in 1 hour. He's the fastest mouth in the south.
Yep.
Yeah, and you and Krista, you and Brandy actually spent some time with him at his house and went out and did a little Bigfoot hunting.
We did. He took us to his area, and we hope to do that again. Actually, we got plans to go back in March. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. Again, like Duke's been on many times. William has been on many times. I don't have too many frequent flyers on the show. Only if I think you're worthy. How about that one?
I'll tell you what, BMR, what you should do sometime is have a panel discussion and have the whole Cryptid Wilderness research team on. Because then you could have me, William, Stephen Hill, and Daniel Becker all on the same show.
That would be an epic show.
Yeah.
Yes, William Becker, Dan Becker. He's such a nice guy. I've got a bunch of T-shirts he sends me from Portlock. They're all really cool in Alaska. He's gonna be coming on pretty soon. I'm going on his show pretty soon too. He's a great guy. William's a great guy. Stephen Hill's been on once. He was on once when I only had like 100 subscribers. I gotta get Stephen Hill back on.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah. So whoever put up a good word for him.
Really cool picture that he took from about, like 1/4 mile away. He was zoomed in as far as he could. There's this rock outcrop, and there was these anomalous black blobs on it. And he goes, "These things aren't usually there." So I sent it to Blaine. I sent it to Christy. They both circle a bunch of spots, send it back again. Yeah, there's a bunch of Bigfoot over there getting the sun watching. 1/4 mile away. That's why those black blobs aren't normally there, because those are Bigfoot.
Well, that's awesome. We're going to shut the show down here in a minute. But before we go to everybody, I also have to thank Kelly, Denise, Gary, Mindfork, Anella, Two Shadows, Maggie, and Mark for the super chats, combination of super chats, super stickers, and Bigfoot memberships, Bigfoot BMR pirate memberships. I appreciate you guys. It's been a great show. For the 400 watching that are not in the chat, you are just as important as the people in chat. I always say, I start telling people that now because, hey, without your viewership, I wouldn't be here, and I appreciate all that. Subscribe to Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central. He's on YouTube. He's on Rumble. He's on BitChute. He's all over. I guess now he's on X, but if you want to talk with Super Duke, you can go over to the new X, I guess they call it now.
Yeah, Duke, we'll have to get you on Blondes too.
Yeah. You gotta get on the Blondes. You gotta come back in a couple months to do the Giants, and then make sure you don't send me no pictures so you don't get pissed off and have a cigarette, mid-show. That's all right. I know how I've known you for so long. You don't make me mad at all.
It was a smoke break. You needed a smoke break.
You needed a smoke break,
it's okay. Everybody has my presence
timing for that anyway. We used to do the 5-minute break, but you know what happens? People don't come back. It's like 5 minutes of bullshit of advertisements, and so we no longer do that. But I do appreciate you, Duke. You know that. Thanks so much.
Sorry about that.
You're all right, man. I'm sure with you, Duke. You know that.
I had to resaturate my bloodstream with enough nicotine to keep me awake.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still really beat from all that hiking around yesterday because first of all, we're at about a mile altitude up, and secondly, we had really bad air conditions yesterday, and like forest fire smoke. And they were saying, do not do any strenuous activity. People that have breathing problems shouldn't go outside. So we're hiking up and down a mountain filming friggin' Bigfoot tracks, of course, because we take advice really well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, boy. Well, again, Duke, man, great show. You're awesome. And thanks for coming on in. And Duke, you're on Sunday night, so I always forget. I always watch the replay, but I also should mention you are on Sundays. At what time on Sunday?
8 Central. And if you guys want to see some more BMR content, I've got a video of me sitting up on top of a mountain where there's a whole bunch of Bigfoot reading part of BMR's first book, which includes cool pictures because it's a story of John Wyanzinski, who lives just to the southeast of me in Wyoming. And it's about his experience in the Wind River Range when he was trying to camp out and a Bigfoot pushed his tent down and then hurled pine cones at him all night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that story, the pine cone throwing Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate that, Duke. It's always I appreciate that when you do that. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for coming on in. I'll let you get some rest, Duke. Great show as always. And all I need to do is look. I got so many. Now I got all these pictures. I got to find the extra. Found the extra for Krista, for Duke. It's BMR. Until next time, have a great night. Thanks for coming on in. On your way out. And put on the alert bell.
Are you ready?